Hey everyone. In this video, I want to share with you what I believe is one of the best books that all men and all women should read. This book is incredibly fascinating because it presents a philosophy for tackling life. It helps you with your mindset for tackling life, and it will naturally make you create a more beautiful, vibrant, and happier life for yourself. Now, this book is called The Alabaster Girl by Perrion, and it happens to be my all-time favorite book. And I've read quite a lot of books, primarily on like personal development, mindset, psychology, and dating and relationships, because I believe those four things are like the most important things that you can equip yourself with to tackle life. It's like having a tool belt of all this knowledge from all these people who've experienced life in different ways, and they're just sharing that information with you so you can go out there and live the best life possible for yourself. Well, this book is at the top of my list because the philosophy it presents is so compelling, so intriguing, that if you were to read nothing else your entire life and you only read this book over and over and over again until all the concepts within it truly solidified and stuck with you, I'm pretty sure you would live a fantastic life, a beautiful life, a life that would leave you happy and fulfilled. Because how could you not? Like, it's hard for me to describe a lot of things within this book because it's just one of those things where you're going to have to read it for yourself and come to your own conclusions. But I will say, you kind of do need to be at a certain place in your personal development journey to understand what's in here. And it's not because it's like pretentious information or anything like that. No, it's because if you haven't worked on yourself to a certain threshold, you're not going to understand a lot of the concepts that Zan talks about. In fact, you may even be cynical. You may not believe a lot of the things that he says, even though they are true, but they're only true if you've worked on yourself enough to be able to actually practice them. Especially a lot of like the dating and relationship concepts that he describes in this book. Like, a lot of guys who are unevolved, if they read this, they're going to think that none of it will work. And that's not true. It won't work for them because they haven't met that minimum threshold for working on themselves to be able to practice these things. But that doesn't mean the concepts don't work at all, because they certainly work once you've hit that threshold. And then you can start creating so much beauty in your life that it will naturally make you happier and more fulfilled. Now, I've personally read this book like probably 4 or 5 times ever since it got released. I think it came out in like 2013, and I got it within like a year of it coming out. And the first time I read it, it blew my mind. The funny part was that was, well, obviously like almost a decade ago at this point. So even though I understood what he was talking about, I wasn't ready to practice a lot of the concepts within it. So I kept rereading it to try to get to a point where I would be able to embody these things. And then funny enough, I stopped reading it for a while, like for quite a few years. I was actually reading it like once a year for a short while there. And then I went like without reading it for quite a few years. And then I found that I ended up practicing these concepts later on, even though I wasn't reading the book anymore. I just like naturally worked on myself enough that I just was practicing what he wrote in here, even without reading it. It's almost like it's a sort of natural path you'll take on your personal growth if you are focused on beauty, if you're focused on being authentic and honest and whatnot. You naturally start to behave in the ways that he describes in the book. And I don't want to give too much of it away because I want you guys to read it and experience it for yourself. But basically, this book is primarily about dating and relationships, but it's also about like philosophy, a way of conducting yourself, a way of viewing the world and other people out there. And it will naturally kind of allow you to connect more deeply with other people and even to see the world in a better way. Like, if I could say that there was one book that has had a tremendous impact on who I have become as a human being, it probably would be this book, because my love for beauty was inspired by this book, inspired by Zan's philosophy. He's always talking about beauty, and I understand why. Because when you seek beauty, it truly does make your life better. It provides so much meaning and fulfillment, because beauty is one of those kind of philosophical concepts that can actually impact people to their core. Because when you seek beauty, you're seeking something in the world that has a lot of depth to it, a lot of meaning. For instance, there's a reason why people go out into nature and they see like beautiful snow-capped mountains and beautiful lush green forests and beautiful lakes that are like placid and just, that sort of thing. Like, there's a reason people are drawn to that, because they're beautiful and that beauty impacts us. Whether or not we realize it consciously, we seek it out, right? People pay more to live in beautiful places like by the ocean or by forests, by the mountains. There's a reason for that. We are naturally kind of drawn to beauty, and this is probably why so many people are unhappy in cities, because there's very little beauty in cities. We've kind of turned away from beauty with modern developments in architecture and whatnot. Like, they're not beautiful at all. This is why I don't want to live in the city any longer. There's no beauty here, and I want to live somewhere beautiful. So beauty is really impactful. And even when it comes to other people, we tend to seek out beauty in others. And that doesn't only mean their appearance, okay? I know as soon as I say that, people are going to be like, Josh, that's shallow. No, beauty goes beyond the skin. Sure, someone can be beautiful to look at, but there's a difference between someone who's beautiful and just hot. There's a huge difference between the two, because someone can be hot and have absolutely a horrible personality, so they're not going to be beautiful. Like, they aren't going to have that beautiful personality, that beautiful spirit to them. They're just going to have their outward appearance, and that's it. And that's not enough for someone to stay with them, at least someone who has worked on themselves a lot. But when someone is beauty as a whole, when they're attractive enough for you to take interest in them, but then also their personality is beautiful, that's a killer combo, because it's rare. Like, there's a quote in the book that goes something along the lines of Zan saying, like, all men know what to do with hot women, but very few men know what to do with beautiful women. And it's true, because that hotness, guys know what to do with that. they want to take those women into the bedroom. But when they meet a beautiful woman, they don't know what to do with her. She makes them pause, because, again, they want to take her to the bedroom, but they also want to keep her around. And they often don't know how to do that. And so she's like an enigma for them. They're trying to figure out how to get her to stay with them, but they don't know how to do it. So beautiful women are far more impactful than hot women. And I imagine there is some form of beauty that men can have as well. I'm just not entirely sure what that would be. I've even asked women to try to describe like what they would define as like the beauty in men to me, and you get a lot of different answers. So I still don't entirely know what quality men can have that make them beautiful, but I imagine there's something out there. And ladies, if you're watching this, please comment down below what you would think would make a man beautiful, so that we could get some ideas there. But I was getting a bit sidetracked there, so let me pivot to another topic I would like to discuss related to this book, and that is the way that it will impact your relationships with other people, going even beyond seeking beauty. I mean, you can seek beauty in your relationships, but this book, when you fully understand the concepts within it and are able to practice them, it truly will like change forever your relationships with other people. And not just like your romantic relationships, which they will like fully evolve to the nth degree. You'll be able to create such beautiful experiences that they'll literally make you pause and be like, how the hell did I create this with this other person? Like, this is insane. It's so meaningful and fulfilling and beautiful and vibrant that you're like, whoa, like, who knew we had this power? But you only can get to that point when you understand the concepts within this book, and you're not judgmental about them, and you don't think that it's all airy-fairy crap, but you actually fully integrate it and understand it, because then you can practice it. And when you practice it, it really will be eye-opening for you, the kind of beauty you're capable of creating. So it's a fantastic read for that alone, but it will also, of course, help your relationships with your friends, your family members, and your coworkers and that sort of thing, because it inspires you to be more authentic and honest. And those two things will naturally make you better able to connect with others. And with that authenticity comes vulnerability too, because the two things are kind of entwined. You can't be fully authentic without being vulnerable. So the more vulnerable you are, the more you'll connect deeply with others. And that authenticity will allow you to even connect with people on interviews and that sort of thing. If they're hiring for culture versus for experience. It can help you get jobs. I've literally gotten jobs because of my authenticity before, because I just let my personality shine through. I connected with the interviewer and they liked me enough that they wanted me to join their team. So like authenticity is a truly powerful thing. And this book kind of presents a way for you to open yourself up, to not be so scared of other people judging you, what they think of you. You're not going to care as much anymore. It allows you to be more focused on being grounded in yourself, knowing what you bring to the table. And instead of asking what other people are thinking of you, it allows you to shift that so you're thinking, what do I think of them? Especially on dates, because a lot of guys get that wrong, right? A lot of guys are completely focused on the woman and not himself and how he feels about her. But this book, Zan, basically gives you the keys to shift that. So you're no longer so concerned about getting accepted by the woman and impressing her. Instead, you're thinking, do I like her enough to continue seeing her? And then if you do, you'll do just that. It's really interesting. It's like the more you're able to focus on the positive qualities of someone without, of course, ignoring the red flags, because you don't want to do that. But if you're able to just heighten those positive things, it's incredible what you can create with others. Like, there have been such beautiful experiences I've created while dating in the past few years. Now I've finally hit a point where like I'm embodying these concepts. And like I said, even a bit before reintroducing myself to it, because recently Zan released an Audible version of the book, so I've started listening to that, and that's the first time I've re-encountered the book since like the last time I read it, which must have been in like 2017 or something. It's been a while. So I started just doing the things within this book naturally, not even like consciously, not even from me remembering those concepts and immediately practicing it. It just happened on its own. So I truly do believe Zan kind of talks about a natural evolution if you're striving for authenticity, because you're not going to be able to create it if you're just working on yourself, but you're focused on all these like things that don't matter all that much, like acquiring skills and whatnot, but you're not focused on trying to free yourself more. Because the more you focus on trying to be more authentic and acquire the freedom that comes with that, you kind of just go in a certain direction in life that will make you become the kind of person that Zan describes in this book. And it's an incredible thing. Like a lot of, I'm going to choose men specifically here, but women can do this too. A lot of men aren't aware of what they can create in a relationship. They're completely like asleep to the fact. They don't even know that they can do this. Or if they somehow were to know, they would think that they aren't capable of doing it, which would make it true in that moment, of course, but they can learn it over time. Like I was not always the way I am. I wasn't always able to create these beautiful experiences with women. Even like up until like 4 years ago, I wasn't able to do this. It's really something, yeah, that sounds accurate. It's really something I've kind of done more recently. And it's just, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like hopefully I'm making some sense, because I'm trying not to give away too much about the book, but I'm trying to also hopefully get you guys excited enough to go out there and read it, because I just truly do believe it's like one of the best books you could learn from. But you do need to be open-minded, because if you're not, it's just going to come off like a bunch of poetry to you, and you're going to think that it's all air with no substance. But no, there's a lot of substance in there. It's just a lot of people aren't at a point where they can understand it, and that's unfortunate. But if you don't meet that threshold, if you read this book and you don't understand and you think it's dumb, please keep it and revisit it at a later date after you've focused on growing a lot, because you'll probably get more out of it after a few years have passed. I mean, every time I revisit it now, it opens my mind even more, and I think like, holy crap, there's all these things that he talks about that like I've been practicing naturally, and they work so well. They're incredible things, and I wouldn't be who I am today if not for this book. So definitely go out there and check it out. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but this really is like the one book that has had the most profound impact on my life. And if you want to understand why I think the way I do on many different topics, this book may be able to help you understand that. So definitely check it out. It's awesome. I loved it so much that I actually have a a signed version from Zan, because it's my favorite book, so I figured why not. But yeah, go out there, get it, or get the Audible version of it and listen to it and let me know what you guys think of it. But I truly believe if you're open-minded enough, you will find this book life-changing. So that's all I have for you guys. Truly hope you enjoyed my ramblings of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!